Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching from. My name is Ibered Mbasi, and today I'll be talking about the privileged identity management in Microsoft Entra ID. So basically, what's Microsoft Entra Privileged Identity Management? Microsoft's PIM or Privileged Identity Management is a service in Microsoft Entra ID that enables you to manage, control, and monitor access to important resources in your organization. These resources include resources in Microsoft Entra ID, Azure, and other Microsoft online services, such as Microsoft 365 or Microsoft Intune. The video that explains this. You can go to the Azure portal and learn, and you get to see this. The reasons why we use PIM is because organizations want to minimize the number of people who have access to secure information or resources because that reduces the chance of a malicious actor getting access or an authorized user inadvertently imparting a sensitive resource. However, users still need to carry out privileged operations in Microsoft Entra ID, Azure, Microsoft 365, or SaaS apps. Organizations can give just-in-time privileged access to Azure and Microsoft Entra resources and can oversee what those users are doing. So basically, PIM just gives you access to a particular role and for a particular period of time in Entra, and it can also give you access to particular resources in Azure and for a particular period of time, and also require that you provide justification or you provide MFA to activate a role or get notifications or conduct access reviews is actually a very, very important part of enforcing least privilege principle in Entra ID. So I'll be showing you how to configure PIM for a Microsoft Entra role in this video. Stay tuned and you will learn a lot. So first thing first, I'm going to show you where you can access the privilege identity management. And that can be accessed in the Microsoft Entra Administrative Center. For you to go to your Microsoft Entra Administrative Center, you have to sign in with a user that has an administrative role, any administrative role, you take it to Microsoft 365 Administrative Center. And for you to configure PIM, note you need to be either a global administrator of the tenant you are a privileged or you are a privileged administrator. Yes, you have to be either a global administrator or you're a privileged administrator. I'm looking for where that is labeled out in the document. And it's very important that you know this because it can come out in an exams if you're preparing for maybe SC300 or AZ500 and the rest. Now, who can do what? For Microsoft Entra roles in PIM, only a user who is in the privileged role administrator or global administrator role can manage assignments for other administrators. So for Entra roles in PIM, only privileged admin role administrator or global admin can manage assignment. Note that. Take note of that. For other administrators, global administrators, security, and the rest, global administrator, security administrator, global reader, and security readers can also view assignments to enter roles in privileged identity management. These ones can view, but the one that can manage the PIM and the global admin. Take note of it. So for this user I'm using, this user is actually a global administrator. I'll show you the role I assign the user. If I come here, sign in as this user, which is Ibered Mbasi at jesoltech.microsoft.com. I click on the 9 dots here. I can go to my admin center here, the Microsoft 365 admin center. There are two ways you can get to your Entra ID admin center. You can come in through this path by signing into office.com, clicking on the 9 dots and clicking on your Microsoft 365 administrative center, scrolling down to where we have show all, then scrolling down to where we have identity. When you click on identity, you are now going to go to the Microsoft Entra admin center, or you can come into here a new tab and type cmd.ms, enter. This is a site that gives you access to all the administrative centers you can imagine, and then you type Entra and it takes you to the Microsoft Entra admin center. So those are the two ways you can get to it. Very simple and straight to the point. Basically, when you type Entra here, it should bring out the Entra admin center. So that is it. So let's go to where we have the Microsoft Entra admin center. We are signed in. I'm going to show you the role I assigned my user by going to users, coming to all users, searching for my name, Iberedem. When I search for my name, I go to my user and you realize that this my user is actually assigned a role. If I go to assign roles, you see that I have the global admin role and it is active. It's an active assignment. This is it. I have the global admin role and I also have the purview workload contributor role, purview workload content writer role. You get now, very important. I need to go and find out how to configure PIM. So when you are configuring PIM, first thing first, come down to your Entra Admin Center, come to your ID governance, go to Privilege Identity Management. Now, under Privilege Identity Management, you're going to come down to where we have Microsoft Entra rules. This is where we'll be configuring PIM for the Microsoft Entra rules. And under this, you can go to where you can manage the rules. Now, what this simply gives you ability to do is to configure management for a particular role and the rules you want to govern assigning that rule. Now, if you observe from here, you can also get to see from here the roles that are active and the ones that are eligible. And in this, my tenant, we have that the agent ID developer is active but is not eligible. I think my global administrator role is active for a couple of people, for 3 people, and is eligible for 1 person. And then we have the global reader, we have the user administrator, we have a whole lot of roles. For this, I'll be assigning the exchange administrator role and the user administrator role to my user. But before I do that, I'm going to be configuring the settings for that particular role I want to. And I'll be configuring the settings for the exchange administrator role. Let me see the exchange administrator role. This is it. I select on this and I come down here. I come to role settings. Under role settings, there are default settings for it and they can be configured. I have already edited it. The default setting for this should be 8 hours. So let me just take us to where we can have the role that I have not edited so that we get to see exactly what the default settings look like. So let me just look for one of these roles. Okay, let me use the um, groups administrator. Click on the groups administrator and I go to role settings. Under description, what description simply does, it just shows you exactly what you can do in this role, what you can manage and what you can configure in the role. Under role settings, I now go to role settings. Then I come to where we have, this is what the default setting looks like, 8 hours and the rest. I can decide to edit it to my preference. If I click on edit here, and then it will open, and then I'll decide to edit it. So now under activation, we are talking about what is the number of how long, how many hours when the role is activated or this person have access to this role. The default is 8. It can be more than that. I think the highest it can be is 24 hours. But I can decide to say no. I want it to be lesser than this. I want it to be 2 hours. Change it to 2. Then on activation, what should you require? Azure MFA. I don't want it to be none. Now, require justification activation. Yes, I want you to give me a justified reason as to why you want this role to be activated for you. Require approval to activate. Yes, I want you to require approval from me to activate the role. So I'm going to select approvers, and the approver will be myself. I'll select myself as an approver. Now note that if no specific approvers are selected, privileged role administrators / global administrators will become the default approvers. Why these roles are actually the default approvers? Because these are the roles that actually have the ability to manage privileged identity management Entra rules. Under required ticket, this is if you need to require a ticket for activation. This is when you require pre-approval custom extension is still under preview and you need to require post-approval. But for this tutorial, I'll be just requiring justification and approval to activate, and I'll be selecting myself as an approver. Then I'll go to next. Under assignment, I do not want to allow permanent eligible assignment. I want the assignment to be expire after 3 months. After 3 months, the assignment should expire. You shouldn't have assignments, or eligible assignment shouldn't be for an extended period of time for security reasons. Now, for instance, in your organization, you have maybe a user administrator. Let's say you had a group administrator, and the person was maybe scheduled to go on leave and is going on leave for 1 month, and you want someone to step into that capacity to work as a group administrator for a period of 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, depending on your preference. This way you can configure PIM, select it to expire after 3 months, and let it go. So that is very essential so that if after 3 months you do not remember, automatically that role will be expired and the person will need to request to extend or reapply for activation of that role. It's very important. Now under allow permanent, I'll untick this and also make sure that it is for 3 months if I need to allow it. Then require multi-factor authentication and active assignment, very important. Require notification active assignment, yes. Now I'll go to next notification. Notification simply tells us who gets notified for what. So when you're assigning a role, and if members are assigned as eligible to a role, these are the people that receive notifications: the admin, the assignee, and the approver. If members are assigned as active to a role, these are the people that receive notification: the admin, the assignee, and the approver. When members are assigned, when the eligible members activate the role, when the role is being activated, these are the people that receive notification. We'll get to see this as we proceed in the course of the video. I'll just leave it the way it is. I'll click on update. So now note, this update I am doing is just for the groups administrator. It affects only the configuration for the group's administrator. For the other roles that are available, for instance, the global secure access log reader, the configuration, the role settings will be the default role settings. If I desire to change it, that is when I now step into it and update it to what I feel should be my preference. If you understand that. So the next thing I'm going to go into now is, if you observe, this is the default. I'm going to go into assigning this role to a user, assigning the group administrator role, which I've just configured, and maybe the user administrator role to a user, and then see what happens when that is done. So I'll go to where we have Microsoft Entra roles. I'll scroll down to where we have assignments, and then I'll scroll down to where we can assign assignments. Now, under this assignment, you can get to see those that have been assigned a role. We have Asha that has been assigned the global administrator role. We have Matthew that has been assigned the user administrator role. And you can get to see, you can get to remove access to these roles, the eligibility to these roles, and then when you remove it, it's gone. You can also get to see the roles that are active. Someone can be eligible for a role, but the role is not active. These are the active assignments. You can get to see the expired assignments. If a role has been expired based on the configuration we put it for a particular, which was maybe 3 months or 1 year, depending on the role we selected, and it's expired, it will be reflected here. So now I'll click on add assignments. And then the role I want to assign to the user, I want to assign the group administrator role, which I just configured. And then the directory is, you can now, the group administrator role, why it is giving us the ability to select a directory, whether it is the whole directory or an administrative, because this is one of the roles that is available for in administrative units. When administrative units are configured, I'll have to do a video for administrative units and explain exactly what happens there. When you configure an administrative unit in M365, there are roles that you have the privilege of assigning to your users. One of those roles is group administrator. I think we have user administrator and some other ones. But if, for instance, I change this particular role, group administrator, instead of I now put in exchange administrator, for instance, you realize that there is no option to edit the scope directory because the exchange administrator role is not available for administrative units. Please take note of that. I'm just making sure that I touch as much as I can and explain as much as I can. So we have the group administrator role, which is what I want to assign to our user. I'll select it. It is up, and then the scope is for the directory. Then the member that I want to assign the role to is by name Odudu. Select the name, and then I click on select. Done that, we go to next. When we go to next, we want it to be eligible. We don't want it to be active immediately. And how, when maximum allowed eligible duration is 3 months. That was what I selected when I was configuring the role settings. If I choose another role, you realize that another thing is going to be choose. It might be 1 year based on if I didn't edit it to my preference. Then assignment starts on so date and ends on so date. And then this is the duration of the assignment. I can click on assign. And when I click on assign, it will take a bit of time and he will be assigned the role. The moment I have assigned the role to him, myself, because I've assigned this role, I will receive a mail and have to go to my Outlook to see the mail I received. So the mail will come in, and let me refresh this to be sure. Yes, this is the mail. It says that this user is assigned the group administrator role for JSOD Tech Directory. So he has been assigned the role, and the assignment type is eligible. He has to activate it basically. So now I'm going to sign into Odudu's tenant, Odudu's account, and see how he requests for activation and how the activation process will go through. And then, so I'll just open a new incognito window here and sign into office.com with that user, and I'll sign in. His name is Odudu. So I'll sign into Odudu at jesoltech.onmicrosoft.com. And it's in, I put in the password. Then I'll have to authenticate. Very important. I have set up a conditional access to make sure that my any account I'm trying to sign into, I need to authenticate. So authenticate using this number. Then I'm in. Then I'll stay signed in so that in subsequent times I'll not need to sign in again when I'm trying to view other things. So I've signed into Odudu's account. Now Odudu is a standard user that did not have any admin role, but now he has been assigned a role. For us to check his status, we can go in here, we can go to this and go to where we have users and check for Odudu here. Just want to show you his status before we activate it. And his status here will be showing that he is under assigned roles, we will see that there is no active assignments for him here. There is no expired assignments. Under eligible assignments, still coming up. Under eligible assignments is still loading, it's taking a bit of time. We have that he's eligible to this group. But for us to know whether he's eligible but he's not yet active. So for him to activate it, he has to sign in and activate it. I believe we understand that. So I'll now come in here, come to Ududu here, come to where we have his Outlook. I'll sign into his Outlook because he has received a mail that yes, this so and so role has been assigned to you. You need to go and activate the role. So he will now sign in and then activate the role. And in activating the role, there are a few things he needs to. He said, you now have the group. Iberid Embassy assign you the group administrator role in this. You need to view activate role. If you click on view activate role, you will come in here. Behaves like that sometimes. You just go back, click on the view activate role to take you to where exactly where you can activate the role. And when that comes up, he will ask for approval from me. And when he asks for approval, I will approve it from my ends. This is it. So we now go to this. You can ask to be activated, or you can ask for extension. If I click on activate now, this is the duration for the role we'll be showing here, which is 2 hours. The reason why he wants me to activate, I need to access. Remember, it was the group administrator role we configured. We click on activate. In the role, the activation request is scheduled. Now he has sent the activation request to me as the approver. I need to approve it. Yes, I have assigned the role, but I still need to approve his request. He's eligible for the role, but I still need to approve his request to be able to use the role. So if I come in here to my main tenant, I receive a mail that, oh, this guy has approve or deny Ududu's request to activate the group administrator, and I can now click on approve or deny here and go there directly. Or I can come to my Entra admin center. If I come to my Entra admin center and I go to where we have my PIM, and I go to where we have my request, or I go to where we have I go to where we have approve requests. So on that approve request, this is where I'll get to see the requests that are pending that need to be either approved or denied. And I can see if you can see my screen down here, we have the group administrator for this, for Ududu. You can go down here and see he has a reason why he needs that to be done, and so on and so forth. I can now say, okay, fine. He has seen what he wants. I understand that he needs it for so and so reason. Let me approve it. So I'll now approve it. Then I'll give a reason why I approve it. I'll now say valid reason for needing the role, and I will submit it. So basically, I have given Ududu, who did not have an administrative role, a role, and this role is for a specific number of time, it's for a period of time, and at that period of time, after that period of time, the role will be rescinded and his access will be denied. If you come here, you realize that the request from Ududu to activate the group role has been approved. So I have gotten a mail that I've approved the role. If I go down to Ududu now and I search on his mail, you realize that yes, is now active. Remember, before now, his role was showing eligible. There was none under active. But if I come to active and refresh active, it means that the role will be active. He can function in that capacity as we speak. So let's see. He's activated. Now he can decide to deactivate it if he doesn't want. But after that period of time where the duration of time where I gave him 2 hours, the role will now turn to be an expired assignment, to be expired, it will no more be available for him to activate. So basically, this is just a summary of what happens in privilege identity management. You're preparing for an exam like AC300 is required for you to understand this. Note, as I said earlier, that the global administrator and the privileged administrator role are the roles that can configure and manage the PIM. And then also understand that when you have, if you're looking at ensuring that you obey the principle of least privilege to the letter and make sure that access to a particular role is only for a specific period of time, PIM is necessary. Then before I go, very importantly, for an organization to make use of PIM, they need to have the Entra P2 license and above. What I'm trying to say is that if you have the Entra P1 license, your organization will not have access to PIM. It's not available in the P1 license. It has to be from the P2 license and above. Now, for you to know the license of your organization, you can just come into your Entra ID, go to where we have the Entra ID, the overview, and you will get to see your license. For my tenants, I have the Microsoft Entra IDP2 license, which made it possible for me to configure the theme for Entra rules. So I believe you have learned something today, and I'd like you to drop your comments in the comment section about what you learned and what you would like us to do a video on next. And please do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you and see you next time. Bye.